#1 or #2 Rengar NA title, along with Impaler, I would say. And that's a champion that you really never want to give him because of how high impact he is and finding those mid-game initiations. Surprised he didn't go with the Lee Sin last game, because that's another one of his great champions and it wasn't picked or banned.
Yeah, I think that this time around, they weren't prioritizing so much on the jungle because they knew if they could get the catch in. So now, like over on the other side, you have Nintendo. He's played an incredibly good Jarvan game. That's been kind of more of his go-to. Obviously, some of his prior big junglers, Elise, got the nerf, wasn't really as big of a pick, and they've been working around these catch and just second win kill compositions. And I think also a statement has to be made for who he's Zed, and it's very much a no-brainer to ban that one away this time.
Yeah, and that was a very high impact pick for them last game. One thing, the Soraka pick is a little bit interesting. Now, Body Drop has been known to play quite a bit of Braum, quite a bit of Thresh, and I've seen him practicing quite a bit of Soraka lately as well. That's sort of been not a secret pick, but a pocket pick that supports are playing when maybe some of the disengaged supports are banned out, but you don't really see it banned very often.
No, definitely not, and that's a curious thing as well. They're just kind of worried about that maybe, or rather they don't want to use it in their comps to say, okay, we can take this one away. It's a confidence thing at the end of the day, and also the Jarvan ban away. This is going to force Nintendo onto another tier of junglers for him, and now we'll see what they do take off for Fusion. That instantaneous Corki pickup should be a pretty strong choice, and it's also a good takeaway from Otter.
Yeah, definitely, and Nintendo is sort of a jungler who, back in his LCS days, he played a very supportive style of jungler where he really, when he was on Coast, tried to support Zion, Spartan, and Shifter as much as possible and get them ahead because they were both carry-oriented solo laners. On Fusion, though, he's actually transformed into a very aggressive playmaking jungler, which is not something that we've seen from Nintendo very often, but it's actually working out quite well. Lee Sin was not a champion that he was known to play very much in his LCS days, but it's a champion that he's definitely picked up recently, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes ahead and picks it up here with Jarvan banned.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense if he does go for that one. Obviously, the Rengar off the table as well. They don't have to pick the jungler just yet. I would expect at least Sin at some point between these two, but again, it's kind of that, let's prioritize something else. The Janna makes a lot of sense. They've wanted Body Drop on a champion like that. Braum was a pretty big one for him, but all the same, they're going to need a little extra mobility as well to get involved in these fights. And I also think that the Syndra is a great pickup to start, but it once again telegraphs a strategy.
Yeah, Janna is sort of the unsung hero of a lot of team comps. You don't really notice her doing much except the Monsoons, but she really does a great job of sort of improving the longevity of your team fights and the longevity of your carries, specifically your AD carry. Chunky Fresh did a fantastic job, and that's something that we didn't really talk about since he's a new support player. Subbing in for Glebe Glarbu really did a great job, and so enemy decides, let's take that Janna away.
Yep, they do go ahead and grab that one, and it might actually be a support swap looking for Chunky Fresh's Braum. That's actually the only support we saw him on in the scrims that he played, you know, with Team Fusion as well. So, so it's going to be a pretty interesting lineup for this team. I think they have a pretty good amount of isolation once again. Yeah. But this time, knowing what they were able to do last game with a lot of pickoff, you have to know enemies going to play this out a little bit safer, even if it's not really their style. Yeah, Wolf sort of struggled a little bit last game on the Syndra, but he's going to pick it up again. And Nintendo's heading over with that Kha'Zix. I said Lee Sin, I wouldn't be surprised, especially taking away from Inori, but Kha'Zix makes a lot of sense with how their team likes to play, with that sort of explosive mid-game, especially combined with the Corki. And they pick up the Braum as well. Now, Graves is something that we've actually seen pick up a lot of steam in this tournament, as well as just in League of Legends in general. Graves is starting to become a lot more popular pick. And Wolf, we didn't talk about it, but he's got that pocket Vel'Koz pick. Refers to himself as the best Vel'Koz NA. Yeah, I remember when he was back on Area of Effect, he never got to play it because Elements always wanted to do it in the support role. Yeah, now, okay, they're cycling over to Skarner too, but, you know, if they did go back to it, it brings a lot of interesting possibilities. Yep. You know, we have seen some crazy stuff depending on where you are in the world. The Syndra support has been done. I doubt they'd take it to the top lane, but when you're getting a game like that just happen to you, you've got to be able to answer back with something completely unexpected. And, well, they're thinking about it. No, I think it's going to swap over to Pantheon. That could be a pretty solid pick. Wow. Although I am surprised there's no Lee Sin. I'm actually very surprised that there's no Lee Sin in this game. Inori, especially throughout the Black Monster Cup, which is probably the only other challenger tournament that's existed between the last NACS and this expansion tournament, Inori played a lot of Lee Sin, and I definitely regarded it as one of his strongest champions. He played very aggressively, got a lot of successful early ganks off, a lot of successful early counter jungling off. Pantheon sort of fits that bill the same way,
those level 2 Pantheon ganks are something that you never can put past the Pantheon. Red buff right to mid lane can be really deadly. And so we'll have to see how Inori is going to play that, because Pantheon is a champion that can fall behind and really just fall flat on his face if he doesn't get ahead early. Yeah,
and on the same note, Fusion is going for a pretty good all-in gambit if they take these last 2 picks. We've mentioned how Hui kind of has a very overly aggressive style. Fizz fits the bill very well here. And then if MacNoon gets the Poppy again, they can just do it all over again. That's what they're looking for right here. And it looks like they will lock those in. This is a very similar comp for Fusion. They're feeling confident.
So they basically, Zed and Fizz are sort of interchangeable for Hui in that mid lane. We saw the Fizz ban last game, which is, I think, even a higher impact pick for him. I think he actually plays more Fizz games than he does Zed. But they sort of fit that same bill, and that's just going to be the same type of thing. We don't have as tanky of a jungler, but they sacrifice the tankiness of the jungler for the tankiness of the support. So they're still going to have MacNoon and Chunky Fresh in the middle of that team fight, draw on fire, so that way Niantanto can just come in from the backside and just wreak havoc.
Yeah, and he shouldn't have too much trouble with that as well. Now, this time, Otter's going to stay a little bit safer on the Lucian pickup. It also makes a lot of sense to try something a little bit different. Cax falling back onto Aurelia. Yep. Should have an easier time in a traditional lane, but if they decide for a swap again, Fusion instigated that one. It's going to be a pretty explosive start if they do it again, and I think Enemy, they have to be the ones running the tempo because they let Fusion just run all over them last time.
Yeah, they got to have a different game plan going in because it definitely didn't work in the last game, but at the same time, they saw what MacNoon can do when he's behind. Imagine what MacNoon can do when he's ahead on that Poppy. So the Aurelia might be a little bit better of a choice for it, but we'll have to see.
It's going to be a pretty terrifying time. Nonetheless, we saw him once. We'll see him again, but we want to know what you guys think. Go ahead, tweet us at LOL Esports using the hashtag LCS expansion to let us know your predictions, your prophecies, and what you think of that Poppy pick.
Yeah, 2 games in a row. That's not something that I've seen, I think, ever in the history of
competitive league.
In the history of
forever and ever.
The history of forever and ever. I have never seen the double Poppy pick. Usually if someone says, oh, we might as well just ban it out. But Enemy says, hey, we think we can deal with it. And MacNoon says, well, I don't think so.
My guess was that they just had no expectation even a second time. Oh, he's not going to do that again. He's been playing Scion. Nope, we're back to Poppy. Okay, here we go on to Summoner's Rift. 1 game in the bag for Fusion, and they are looking strong out the gates on the blue side this time. But Enemy, they're not down and out yet. This is a team that has quite a few tricks up their sleeve in the aggression department.
Yeah, and I think that Enemy is going to want to have a lot crisper of an early game. I mentioned that sometimes when they don't really get ahead so much, they falter a little bit. That's something that we saw in their run through that Black Monster Cup, is that if they didn't end the game real early, then they had a lot of trouble closing it out, and it seemed like that was the case last game. They just couldn't find a foothold in that game. Fusion did a great job of just sort of suffocating them out.
Inori playing with fire there, nearly checks into the death brush. And Fusion just says, we're going to muscle our way into your jungle. It's going to prompt Body Drop and friends to move down towards this bot side, getting themselves a little bit of deep warding out as well. So this looks like they might want to prepare for potential lane swap, or at least spot out what's going to happen. Meanwhile, everyone's on the other side of the map.
Yeah, this game, Fusion's level 1 is absurd. Corki, Braum, and Poppy are all pretty fantastic at level 1, so they have absolutely no fear just roaming through this entire enemy jungle, just getting whatever vision they want.
And it makes a lot of sense that they pick a comp that does that as well, to try and stop enemies' signature early game play. And the level 1 is incredibly important when 2 teams want to be this bloody.
Yeah. So they're really trying to come up with a plan here. They're basically living on the red side jungle of Enemy eSports here, and just trying to get that red buff. That could set Pantheon behind quite a bit if he's not able to spot out what they're doing. But you can see Enemy does have vision to this. They're going to be able to react accordingly. And a very similar start as we saw last game.
Yep, go ahead and trade in those buffs. Now MacNoon going to teleport down to the bottom side, and you already can see Cat God predicting it, making a move for the traditional lane. And this time they won't be caught too far off guard. Nintendude picking up that red buff to start it off. Everything else, pretty normal.
Yeah, this is MacNoon reacting really well, better than last game, and adapting to what happened last game. Because last game, he sort of got a little bit farm with his jungler and then teleport down to the bot lane. But this time he says, okay, as soon as I see that both teams are lane swapping, I'm going to hit down there to not give them any chance of being able to dive me early on and shut me down. So CatGod's still doing a great job, though. This is exactly how you play that Poppy lane. It's just make sure you try and do your best to deny the CS from them early and make their life hard.
Yeah, doing their best to do that exactly as you mentioned. Now Nien might be in a bit of trouble as well. Wow, they popped the Ignite on him, forcing the heal, and he's going to flash. Otter, though, exhausted. He's in tower range, taking all the shots, stunned up. Chunky Fresh. Oh, my goodness, that's going to be first blood going to Braum.
Yeah, that's just a little bit of oversight on Otter's part, and that's something that you can't afford to do early on, is give them that kill. He had to have expected the Antonsa to be able to flash, and that Lightbringer still has that delay, and McNoon's in trouble.
Speaking of junglers, yep, McNoon on the run now with the Nori here. CatGod going to Blade Surge on forward, get the slow off with Equilibrium Strike, but can he run away? Man, that Yordle can go fast for short legs.
Yeah, popping that W, able to run.
We might be here a while.
Pretty fast, yeah. And Nori, he does not have the flash anymore, so I'm not
Doesn't want to give this up.
He's
going to get the jump off. There we go. Blade Surge, they might just have enough damage. One more tick. It's CatGod picking him up, but that was quite a delay, and he's missing out some CS.
Yeah, that was a marathon that those guys ran. They ended up all the way back on by their own inhibitor turrets there, but McNoon wasn't really going to be able to escape from that, so he's going to fall earlier. And that's very similar to last game, but
I want to give him the execute.
Yeah, don't want to give him the execute at all. And they probably could have done it without CatGod falling all the way down there, but making sure they secure that kill, making sure McNoon cannot get ahead in this game. They might even try to focus him even more than last game to set him behind.
Yep, and Huhi now stunned up, can actually go in on Wolf right now, but it's a jungle fight on jungle fight. Wolf actually will go down first. Huhi picking him up. Teleport coming in as they bring CatGod to the party, but Nintendo is already back under tower.
Yeah, so they end up picking up the kill onto Wolf. I think he went a little bit too hard for that kill. As soon as they saw Nintendo coming in, they probably should have backed off. But that's Hui's aggression right there. As soon as Wolf went aggressive, he went aggressive right back onto him, despite there being a jungler there. And it pays off for him. He's not only ahead of a Syndra in CS, who's known to be a pretty good bully, at least early on, to Fizz, but at the same time, he also picks up the kill. So Wolf might have another tough game under his belt in that mid lane.
And now Otter trying to push Nien in, but they've already been punished for that over-aggression. Not just one, but two lanes now. Tower going to be under siege, but everyone on Fusion is holding steady with 1,000 gold in the lead. May not mean that much, but at 5 minutes in, pretty solid margin.
Yeah, that's a really solid margin. That's a lot better than they did last game, and their mid-game comp is really good. Nori has done an okay job of applying pressure, but 0-0-1, and he still only has the machete. Pantheon has a lot of trouble farming the jungle early on and keeping up with farm, especially at Kha'Zix. So he's really in a position where he has to try and make moves. And that's where I said it's possible for Pantheon to fall flat on his face if he's not able to get out those early ganks.
Yep, he's certainly trying right now, but this is a total telegraph as Otter and Body Drop have been pushing up incessantly. Backing off right now says, hey, my jungler's in the brush, and Chunky Fresh and Nien know exactly what is up.
Yeah, and they're playing this lane really well. I guess that telegraph gank could be on the back of their mind, but this is so much wasted time by Nori up here, and Nintanso and Chunky are just not giving enemy an inch here. They're harassing when they can, but not overstaying their welcome. Going to pop the ward in the bush, and that's whatever, that 45 seconds that he just wasted. Now he's just going to have to back off, and this is a rough spot because Nintendo's just been farming Nori's jungle while he's been waiting up there.
Yeah, not only that, he's popping a couple wards down. He's going to have complete vision of that one. So again, Nintendo really getting around a lot more effectively than Nori has this game, and it really makes you wonder about this Pantheon pick. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, McNoon says, come at me, and he chases CatGod around with that level advantage, but Cax is returning some fire as well.
Yeah, and McNoon is actually coming out ahead because of CatGod teleporting in the mid lane, because of him having to chase McNoon all the way across his own map. He hasn't really had time to farm by himself, whereas McNoon has. So despite being down a kill, once again, McNoon is putting himself in a great spot going into this mid game, and it's so hard to duel a Poppy, especially when that level 5 to level 6 mark, just because, again, he takes less damage when he gets lower, and as soon as he pops that diplomatic immunity, you have to be really careful because he can dish out some real damage.
Yep, it's certainly been a troubling thing right now. Now Fusion going to jump in onto Otter. He's going to have to dash away, but he's got that extra speed boost. With Nintendo revealed, they'll be able to get out safely. Whoop! Huhi going to jump over Wolf, and his could be trouble right now. Chum the Water's down, going to get it, biting him, and that could be one more hit. I don't know, though. Huhi, he goes way too far forward, and Wolf unleashes the power, picks him up.
Yeah, Huhi just sort of ran out of juice there, and Wolf was able to pick up that kill. But, I mean, that's just how he likes to play. He's going to fall a little bit behind now, but I think he should still be in a fine position. There's just action happening all the way across the map.
Yep, someone hit a switch and go. Chunky Fresh and Nien. Tanso going to find body drop here. Almost melt. The heal's already out. They're going to turn for Otter, but it's already in tower range. It's so close, so brutal, and they've gotten away without casualties here. Both these teams seem to have stepped up this game, but Macnoon has to be careful. He's pretty low on the health.
Yeah, I really respect the patience here by Nien Tanso. He showed it in both games. He's not willing to make those super aggressive, risky moves like we saw Otter, who flashed into the turret early game to try and get that kill. He probably could have gotten the kill on the body drop if he had flashed in, but he stayed back, took that trade advantage that he got, and is just willing to sit there and care for the mid game. Whoa,
yeah, they're going to find Macnoon, though. Yeah, Nori. Oh, boy. He's pretty low. He's going to flash forward for it. Wow. Did spend that one, but he managed to pick off the Poppy all the same. And yeah, Macnoon, again, he's unafraid to even trade 1v2s.
This is deja vu, man, because the second death in the last game happened in almost the exact same spot while he was doing the exact same thing. But the name of the game for Macnoon on Poppy is map pressure, is game pressure, and he is doing exactly that. And, I mean, it worked for Fusion last time incredibly well. Why shouldn't it work this time? And Fusion has a slight lead in this game, but it seems like they're controlling the pace a little bit more. The only reason that enemy is still staying in it is because Wolf is doing a great job of being able to solo out Hui in the mid.
Yep, and Hui now, as you mentioned, been shoved back. The level advantage is really meaning a lot in this extended. It feels like an extended laning phase just because these two teams are so aggressive, knocking down the towers early. This is the most normal game we probably could have expected from them after that first start.
Yeah, at this point in the last game, I think we had close to 10 kills. Right now it's 5, so while there's more kills in this game than we see in a lot of other Challenger series, it's still a low-kill game for how these teams usually like to play. And Nori, he sort of resorted to farming his jungle, which is sort of that point on Pantheon where you're like, okay, I concede. I'm just going to try and farm my jungle, get 6 as quick as possible, and then try and make an impact. But that's a really big deal that he wasn't able to make something happen earlier.
And everybody is getting bullied out just a little bit. You see Cax having to back away. This Dragon will get started up actually a little bit late for Fusion standards as Hui intended to come to the party. You can see Hui just saving
Grand Skyfall's available.
Oh, boy. He might come in.
There he's coming.
He's thinking about it. This Dragon could fall pretty quickly, but again, you can see everyone able to dodge out. This raw mechanical skill that everyone on Fusion has been saving them quite a bit, but they do have to back away from Dragon here.
Very smart.
Enemy is really making their presence known. They're going to find Nien, actually. He's going to have to Valk away, unleash the power. Won't be enough damage, but they did manage to deter him away from this. And now they'll try to control the map just a little bit more from here, wrestling it back from the clutches of Fusion.
Once again, very smart, patient play from Fusion. They're willing to make aggressive plays, but they also know when they're a little too far away. They saw, hey, that Grand Skyfall is probably up. We could probably take this Dragon, but we don't want to put it up to a 50-50. What a flash.
Yeah, Wolf just, he says, I got mechanics too. Now Hui actually having to flash away. You could see he's been dodging and weaving all over those Scatter the Weaks, but it's Wolf who's also got a few tricks up his sleeve. So those two mid laners really trading out nice and well without any casualties here. Tower going to be fired down for just a second by Otter and body drop, but Nien, Chunky are in range to defend.
I think that's a little bit of a misplay by Hui. If he was paying attention to the last fight, Wolf actually used that Syndra ultimate to try and take down Nien, so he knew it wasn't up, so he didn't really have much stutter time.
Oh,
but
boy.
Once again,
Cat God, he could be in trouble, but Macnoon's actually taking a lot of tower shots there. The diplomatic immunity does not extend to turrets. And with Inori in the group as well, they're able to deter him off that, but he wants round number 2. Oh, boy.
Oh, he's going in.
That's got to hurt.
Okay, he's good. That's Macnoon.
That's Macnoon.
Freedom.
Now Hui's still dodging away from everything Wolf can throw at him, but it's just been so close every time. The gold is actually really, really even here, but again, enemies' win conditions are always this. You need to get little edges and then turn them into big leads to close out the game about 20, 25 minutes in. They have not had a chance to do that. They've been behind both of these games. It's no different.
Yeah, this time it's going to be a little bit tougher for them to get back to a game if they get behind. It was tough for them last game, but they don't have that sivir for the engages or the disengages. Pantheon could fall off a little bit if he keeps going at the pace that he's going right now, because Nintendo's just going to be able to out-farm him left and right. Now, Nintendo's been trying a lot to control the vision on the map, so he's been falling a little bit behind in farm. But at the same time, it seems like Fusion is still comfortable with the position they're in this game. But enemies feeling confident, they're going to be the ones to start this Dragon, which being on red side probably gives an advantage. Nintendo's going to look for a steal.
Yeah, he has the flash to get in and out if he wants to. And
oh
my goodness, he takes it on a W. What? Wow.
Oh, wow. The zoom in. Look at him swagging away.
That's how you do. He's bugging out, actually.
Bugging out, yeah. So Inori missing that smite a little bit. I thought we saw St. Vicious play yesterday.
Oh, that's a low blow, man.
Ooh. He actually missed one yesterday, too.
He did.
Sorry, Saint.
We still love you. Now, watching him and Wolf go at each other in this mid lane, I actually don't want the laning phase to end because it's just been beautiful. It's like two dance partners, except they want to kill each other. Yeah,
and that's why these teams are so exciting to watch. And this game has been, or this match has been really exciting as well. Two teams that are not afraid at all to make aggressive moves. Two mid-game focused teams. Oh, there it comes!
Speaking of aggressive moves, yep. Inori's looking to mix it up now. Chunky Fresh, he knows that he doesn't have anywhere to go, but it's Body Drop who's actually taking up the shots. They can cancel this teleport. It actually cancels itself. MacNoon says no thank you. Chunky on the run, but he's going to the wrong base right now. Looks like it could only be a matter of time. And this, I think we've seen this before. Yep. Braum's pretty tanky, but they will be able to polish him off. Or maybe not. Wow, nice flash away. He's really dedicated to running out of here, but I don't think he's got much places to go, many places to go.
So we're just going to pan away from him.
Let's just assume that's going to happen
in a few minutes.
Actually, he might just escape.
Wolf's coming in from the side, though.
Goodbye.
Puts him in the turret range. Okay, picks up the kill.
Meanwhile, Nintendude hanging out on the top. Cax knows he can't go far for this one, so MacNoon's actually just going. This is like the tower sieging guard right here.
Oh, as soon as he gets close, I know that Nintendude's not going to be hesitating to go in, but Wolf's coming in for the backup.
Yep, and they have to see this one coming. It's going to be a 2v2, but how's it going to turn out? Cax actually, he's going to take the fight. MacNoon says, let's go. Wolf now didn't expect the bug, and MacNoon's actually going to run for Wolf. No damage able to do. Oh my goodness! Hello, that's who he coming in, but it's MacNoon getting the kill. Now CatGod running back to the safety of his tower. Blade Surge onto a minion, running away, but they've been running to the wrong base, both teams now. Cax is going to melt. That's a double kill for MacNoon, and they juggle the aggro. Nintendude is able to get away.
Yeah, and that's just the jungle positioning being a little better. You could tell Fusion was planning that for a while. They had Hui on standby to make sure that, hey, if this gets sketchy, we need you to come in. Whereas they knew Inori was on the bottom side of the map with no Grand Skyfall available, so a very calculated dive from Fusion, and they're starting to pick up some momentum here. That Dragon Steel, at this point in the game, that's huge, because that's what's mostly giving them their gold lead right now.
Yeah, they've needed it now, and they need to stay alive here. Body Drop in a lot of trouble. Monsoon is on, but he's still burning away. The Summoner heal burn, and Body Drop will just make it out, but this tower is not going to last very long. In an even-numbered matchup, Fusion just keeps coming out on top.
Yeah, the one thing that they have to recognize, though, is Inori's actually getting some free farm down that bot lane, so that's going to sort of remedy some of the scaling issues that Pantheon might have, but they're giving up so much on the rest of the map that it might not even be worth it at this point in the game. They need Inori to be there for these fights, for these skirmishes, because that's where Pantheon shines. He's starting to get to the point where he's reaching that power spike where he's going to start dipping really far down, so he needs to make sure that he's available for his team when they need him, because they really don't want to get steamrolled by Fusion and snowballed like they did in the last game.
Yeah, Fusion knows that they can keep going like this for a long time. They can keep pushing their edge and just trying to take enemy out in a slow, calculated way just because they have that better engagement, that better skirmish. On the other hand, enemy, as you mentioned, they have a ticking timer. However, they have kept relevant here. They're only down about 2,000 gold. Yes, it's pretty early, so that's still a significant margin, but if they can keep up the pace, they have decent scaling with the exception of the Pantheon, with the exception of the Lucian. They still have a lot of damage in their back pocket. They might have to rely a lot on Cax, though, going forward, and I don't know if they want to do that.
Yeah, CatGod, though, we mentioned the top lane is the featured matchup. I think the top laners for both of these teams are probably the strong points for these guys, so, and Aurelia probably a little bit more of a champion that you can rely on than Maokai.
Oh, MacNoon. Oh. He goes in for the flank, and then he just kind of walks on through. Once again, going wherever he feels like. It's a mini Mundo, kind of.
Yeah, the miniature Mundo. It's MacNoon's version of Mundo.
MacMundo?
MacMundo. Oh, where's he going?
Hello, Nien. Let's falk away from that one as the Grand Skyfall comes in, clearing a couple of waves, so they do their best to save some towers. Now, Body Drop caught between Chunky and Nien. He might not have anywhere to go. Now, Nintendo jumping on in. Relentless pursuit away, rather. Otter's going to have to blow his flash as well. Now, Huhi's made it as well. This is just the collapse repeatedly from Fusion. They keep doing this, and maybe they're not getting a whole lot of kills out of it, but they're forcing those key summoners. Enemy can't fight from here. Yeah, they're forcing enemy onto their back foot, which is exactly what they did in the last game and exactly what they know they need to do to win. I'm kind of hoping that enemy is able to stay in this game without getting too far behind for a lot longer, so we can see if Fusion
is versatile enough to be able to close out in a very late game close situation. But at the same time, Fusion's doing a great job right now, but he could be caught out.
Oh, yes, he could. That's going to be CatGod picking him up, the 1-2 punch with the unleashed power from Wolf, and now chasing down MacNoon. He was just a little bit too late to the party, and he's still going down. Whoa, Wolf, bitten off a little more than he could chew there. That's MacNoon on a rampage already. Meanwhile, the jungler's going to duke it out. It's not a team fight, it's a slugfest.
Yeah, and MacNoon is still just running around. He's going to be able to pick up the kill on Nori as well.
Okay, that is 2 for 2, but man, was that a little bit bloody. Now Nien has joined the crew in the middle. The supports are coming in as well. I think they feel a little left out now. CatGod going to jump onto Chunky Fresh, but he's getting chunked out just a little bit himself. Otter, he's going to be able to get the piercing light out. Nien moving around. Man, I can't even catch these fast enough.
Yeah.
It's just 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and a lot of individual effort, especially from Fusion, netting them that even score.
MacNoon has that blood radar going on in his head right now. As soon as he sees someone low health on the map, he just says, you know what? Screw whatever I'm doing right now. I'm going for that guy. And that's exactly what he did in that fight. He probably could have dueled out CatGod for a little bit longer, but he said, you know what? Inori's diving my mid laner. I sense a free kill. I'm going down for that. And I mean, 4-2-1 this game. Already finished that Trinity Force even a little bit faster than last game, I do believe. So Fusion's still holding on to about a 2K gold lead, but whoa!
I don't know if it's going to be for long now. Wolf, they land the Chum the Waters. Nien does eat a face full of unleashed power, but it doesn't even matter. Already Wolf is down. And Fusion could be looking for this dragon. They don't seem too interested just yet, as they've got a pretty big minion wave built up to this mid side.
Yeah, they got so much pressure on that mid lane right now with that wave. They're going to be able to take this mid turret and then go straight to dragon. Also going to get a blue buff as a consolation prize. So that seems to be how Fusion operates. They control that mid portion of the map. They look for picks. As soon as they get a pick, they know exactly what they need to do, capitalizing on those objectives. And now, all of a sudden, they explode into that 4,000 gold lead area, 5,000 even with the top lane. So this game just got broken wide open.
Yep, couple of towers, blue buff, and a dragon. Whoa. They grab everything. And Huhi now running away from Otter and Body Drop. They're staying as safe as they can, but Inori's going to look for the zone. He's not going to land in time. Actually, positioning could have been a little bit better there, and Huhi will be able to get out. But again, it always seems like enemy just a step or two behind these Fusion rotations.
Yeah, he whipped that one a little bit. Those Grand Skyfalls have been a little bit underwhelming.
Uh-oh, suddenly there comes a MacNoon. CatGod trying to duel him out, but that blue buff looking tasty, and he wants to find a diplomatic immunity zone. Not going to stop the towers, but it doesn't even matter. He picks them off. The stun wears away, and MacNoon walks away happy.
Yeah, MacNoon would definitely be the scariest Pokemon to find in that tall grass, so he's going to pick up another kill for himself, and it's just so hard for them to deal with him right now.
I don't know, though. Wow, he's actually going to spend the unleashed power, so Wolf able to take him down to follow up. Meanwhile, Huhi dueling with not just Body Drop and Otter, but Inori now joining the party. It prompts him to run right away from that. It has been a lot of trades back and forth, but again, the tower pushing has so far been for Fusion. We'll see if enemy can answer back here. They've got a small wave, a bigger one behind, but they don't want to deal with that fish.
Yeah, they probably could have afforded to push a little bit harder down that bot lane. They should have known that Nintendo was up top and that MacNoon is dead. So there's not much they could have done to defend against that little push, but they're going to go ahead and back off, play it safe. At this point, they're not far enough behind to where they have to get desperate, but they're just far enough behind where they have to make sure that they play safe.
An enemy definitely adapting a little bit better this game than they were able to last time. But hey,
up.
Suddenly Teleport Poppy Wolf is getting nightmares, deja vu all over again, but he's able to deter him for just a moment. Okay, that's fine. I'll find myself a Janna. Body Drop in trouble. Gonna get the Howling Gale off, and that's gonna deter both MacNoon and Huhi from jumping on that one, but you can just see the burst damage that he's bringing.
Absolutely no hesitation.
Oh, wait a minute. Speaking of no hesitation, CatGod says, whatever you can do, I can do better. Jumps in, but he doesn't have the damage output. MacNoon walking away from it. Yeah,
this is definitely a slugfest happening right now. These teams, zero hesitation in going in on these team fights, and a lot of the times you see top laners trying,
here we go again. He's going to get a little far behind. Nien does have an escape path, but Inori in hot pursuit right now. Can Nien valk away? Yes, he can, to join Chunky Fresh and the crew. And they are just doing everything they can to just run enemy around the map.
Yeah, Inori seems like he's
Oh, they're going to jump in. CatGod might have walked into a trap, and Nintendo's already low. The heel's out. Cax, he's going to be able to pop the kill. It's actually Body Drop picking it up, but they're going to follow up onto Wolf. Otter's here. Anori, Body Drop. They can zone around. Wow, they're already starting to melt, though. Wolf's down. Chunky Fresh taking up all the damage, and Fusion somehow able to come back and keep this one going. Otter's going to get Chunky, but it may just be a consolation prize. Double kill going over to MacNoon, and they're looking for a Body Drop. Can he pick the triple? He's certainly going to chase for it, and he'll just get out of tower range. Oh my goodness, Hui. Oh boy. Okay. That's enough, boys.
Yeah, so that ends up being a 3-for-2 trade in favor of Fusion. So not the biggest victory, but they're still just pulling so far ahead in this game. The pressure that they're applying on the map, you said it correctly, they're just sort of pulling enemy all the way across both sides of the map. It's forcing Inori to try and make those big Grand Skyfall plays, but I think he's pulling the trigger a little too quickly. And I said it once and I'll say it again, they've been very underwhelming, and he needs to sort of make high-impact ultimates for enemy to be able to have any chance of coming back in this game. But Fusion, once again, looks like they have absolutely no intentions of letting up.
Absolutely not. Enemy has a few options here to try and go forward, but you can just see how fearless Fusion is. Those low health bars, they take away the red. They say, they can't answer back on us. It doesn't even matter. So now, heading back to base, nice and safe. Their diving has really known no bounds this game, and they just continue to push forward. I feel like this is the kind of team you buy an Ohm Wrecker for.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, Poppy, you can once you get that Trinity Force, that Yuma's Ghostblade, you can really just build anything.
Yeah, 6 item, it's whatever. It's free.
Yeah. And
you don't need that many slots.
I wouldn't put it past MacNoon, because turret dives are sort of his thing.
The signature, if you will.
The signature.
Well, wherever the enemy team is, he certainly finds them, and speaking of enemy, they're trying to wrestle a little bit more control back. Drake's up in a minute and a half. That will be the next thing to fight over. However, at this point, they have to be careful not to let it get stolen away. Nintendo didn't even need a smite last time.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a rough steal for Nori. I'm sure that shook him up just a little bit, but can't let it shake you up that much because they still got a chance in this game. They're really far behind, but it's still anybody's game at this point. It's Fusion's game to lose, but it's still anybody's game, and they really got to find a way to deal with MacNoon, though. He's got 7 kills right now.
Yeah, Fusion definitely, though, going pretty hard for this outer turret, or this inner turret, rather. They're going to jump for it, and they have a little bit of a wave. Not able to take it down. Otter's going to clear the wave away. Inori on the other side. They will grab themselves a blue, but Inori might not last very long here. Nintendo, he's jumping in. Up, tag team. Let's take him down. It's actually Hui picking him up, but MacNoon was there as well.
Look at this vision. All in enemy's jungle right now. Fusion has complete control over the map. They don't even care about the Baron right now just because they're getting so much out of just controlling the vision in the jungle, rotating from lane to lane, picking up picks and picking up turrets. And picks has been sort of the name of the game for Fusion right now. They have the team for it, and they have the playstyle for it as a team as well. MacNoon just facilitating so many kills across the map.
Well, they're just picking towers at this point. They've been able to do so much, just like they were in the last game, suddenly closing the net, and enemy finding themselves a couple of members down. It just has been on repeat. So now, Fusion looking to take down this inner turret once again, but everyone from enemy is there, and there's a wave pushing against them in the top side.
Yeah, enemy is just, they're scrambling right now. That's probably the best word to describe it. They're just scrambling around the map, trying to get what vision they can, pick up any sort of advantage that they can get, but it's slim pickings.
Here we go. They want to try the fight, but CatGod's already got the chum. The water's on him. MacNoon going on in diplomatic immunity, and Wolf is down. They're trying to save their lives. Body drop, having to cancel it out. They do get a double kill for Nien, though, and they're jumping all over enemy. That's a triple kill. Can Nien get more? It looks like MacNoon's going to pick one up, but a quadra kill going over to Nien Tanso. Double buffs to boot.
A quadra kill again, this time over to Nien Tanso, and that was one of the quickest aces I've seen in a mid-game team comp. They just have so much snowball potential in these fights. They have absolutely no way to deal with MacNoon. He's just wreaking havoc. And Nantanso's putting out so much damage as well. I just don't see any way for any to be able to deal with these team fights. They had an okay start of that fight. All of the damage was put onto CatGod, which is the champion that they wanted to be on in this game. But they still, it looked like they didn't have a chance to win that fight.
Yeah, and when, you know, MacNoon putting on those walking shoes, he's going to teleport up to the top, and of course they will be able to take down this Baron quite easily. Enemy just has not been able to find any sort of fight. They're so far but down. The Grand Skyfall is going to come in, but this is just going to be a sacrifice. Inori, he can't even pick up a kill. That's another one picked up by MacNoon. Nien going to melt body drop, and hello, goodbye, back to Fountain.
He gets the crit and just absolutely obliterates body drop in. Fusion's just starting to run away with this game.
You can see the crack starting to show here. Enemy just having really no way to get back into this one. They're down 15,000 gold the mid game. This is their nightmare. They do not want to have to deal with this kind of thing. Cat God is going to be their only hope if this game continues the way it is.
Yeah, he's got a couple kills under his belt, but really, I mean, look at their items across the board for enemy. They're so far behind. Huhi in the mid lane for Fusion has 2 full items, got that Lich Bane and that Zhonya's Hourglass, plus the blue pot. He's got his core going on right now, whereas Wolf, he's struggling to finish his second item at this point. CatGod only has the Trinity Force, doesn't even have level 2 boots, where McNoon, he's going towards that Infinity Edge. Trinity Force, Yuma's Ghostblade. He's monstrous right now.
And also, we can talk a little bit about the way that they've positioned as well, because you see they're doing the same thing they did last time. Nintendo X jumps in, tries to set up the fight, and just sort of becomes the target. Says, okay, target me, focus me. That's perfectly fine. Exactly. And they've let Nian just run rampant. They've let McNoon zone out anybody else who might be a threat. And there's also Huhi and Chunky, veritable frontline as well as another assassin. There's so many threats on this team. Enemy doesn't know who to target. Now Chunky's going to get stunned up for just a second, but Fusion out-rotating here. They'll be able to take out this last inner turret. Up next, it's the inhibitor turrets and then enemy's base. They have to be able to defend here, but what can they do?
There's not much that they can do. Their wave clear is only okay. Outside of the culling, they're going to have a lot of trouble clearing it, but McNoon,
oh, he's going all the way for Fountain. Whoa, that burst! They're going forward. They just want to end it right here, right now. McNoon getting pushed back by the big monsoon, but it may not be enough. CatGod could be in a little bit of trouble here. They don't even take the tower. They're going to pick it off finally. Chunky Fresh still staying alive, and they're going in for round number 2. Huhi now jumping on. He finds Body Drop. They're chasing him all the way back to Fountain. It's only Wolf and Inori standing. Wolf nearly going down. Gonna heal up one more. McNoon going for the dive, and he picks him off the Fountain.
McNoon is just going off in these 2 games on this Poppy. Finishes the Infinity Edge. Now, this is ridiculous. Double-digit kills in both of these games on Poppy. What a high-impact player McNoon has been in this series. And Infusion is just showing dominance right now in this round of 8.
Yep, and they don't try to end it just here. They're going to actually try to get on out.
Desperation.
Chunky's going to get jumped on by Inori, but they don't have any backup here. He's just trying to buy time, stop the ports, but he takes so much poke, and they don't have an answer.
Yeah, they're just trying to pick up whatever they can right now because they are on their last line of defense. Only 1 Nexus turret left, and Fusion just a couple more kills, and they could just push in and end the game. McNoon is showing no hesitation in diving past these turrets.
They just melt exploded. Once again, he's down. It's Huhi on a spree. He manages to take down Body Drop, and Otter falls to Nintendo X.
That's
they
3
can't
down.
even leave their base at this point. Wolf, he might be the last hope to try and salvage something here. He's going to find Chunky. There's Inori. They're going to get a little bit back. Nian and Tanso's going to finally go down. That's the first death he's had all game.
So they stay alive for a little bit longer, but how much longer is it? Because Fusion is just not letting up.
Effort. They're going to try.
Oh, there's a diplomatic immunity.
Oh my goodness, Wolf. He's got to run away, but he's got nowhere to go. McNoon, he says, I can take you all over again. He gets the double kill, and he gets out. McNoon, how about that with the ace?
With a sliver of health, just goes into a legitimate 2v1 and picks up his 12th and 13th kill of the game. He is unstoppable at this point.
I think he's godlike, actually.
Godlike. Yeah,
McNoon.
He's all of it. He's godlike, unstoppable. He's just everything at this point in the game. And wow, this is just an impressive thing to watch.
If you had told me at the start of today that we'd see McNoon with 13 kills on a Poppy in 2 games, well, at this point, I probably should just say, yeah, okay, that's McNoon. But yeah, I cannot believe his performance.
I thought to myself, wow, what a surprising pick. But then I think about it. You know, to think about it, maybe not. But it's not just McNoon in these games. Fusion has just really stepped it up. Chunky Fresh coming in as a fresh support, replacing Gleeglarbu. Not much time to practice, and he's really shown through being that great support for his team. And this is just probably going to end here pretty soon for Enemy. I mean, you can't count him out yet. It's a 20K gold lead, but stranger things have happened in the world. It's just going to be really tough for them to claw their way back.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's not really just been McNoon. They do work together as a unit. We hadn't seen too much of their play before today, but Nintendo X has been leading that charge. They've had Chunky able to get...
Okay.
Yeah, well, Huhi's having a fun time, too.
Yeah.
He does, you know, win or lose, he just wants to have a good time.
All right, we need a McNoon tracker. Where is he?
Oh,
okay,
boy.
He's pushing up the mid lane. It's only going to be a matter of time before he goes in somewhere.
He's drawing 2 people here, and this is Fusion just saying, you can't deal with all of us. You can barely deal with some of us.
They need more than 2 to deal with him.
They're going to go for this. I mean, okay, so there we go. They clear the waves. They've definitely got it after the fact, but they have to deal with the super minions on top. They can't hold out forever. And Macnoon, again, wherever he goes, they have to send at least 2 to deal with him.
Yeah. And Inori actually, it looked like he was starting to try to go for that Grand Skyfall, but thought twice about it. I mean, it's just going to be really hard for them to find a point where they can pull the trigger. At this point, even if they get a perfect engage, it's still going to be so tough for them to win a fight.
Oh, Wolf, they might find him. He wanders into the the waters, and that's not going to be enough to keep him alive. Body drop with the Monsoon. He's running away from this one. And Nori, he gets Nintendo though, but Macnoon is in the base. Otter, wow, what's half his bar? I can't believe it. Body drop. He might fall down too. Yes, he does. Double kill for Macnoon. Finally shut down by Cat God, but all the same, Hui's on the chase. The super minions are in the base, and I don't think there's anything enemy can do to come back from this one. Cax, you might be the only hope, but you might be dead in just a moment. Hui playing with his food, and he might just have this ace.
And he concedes it over, and with that kill, that should solidify Fusion's victory over enemy eSports, 2-0, and it looks like Fusion should be moving on, the final team to move on to that Final Four. Wow,
they did it in style. I mean, this game was assured a few minutes ago, but they certainly have been following it up. And again, you look at the fountain dives, they shut down, finally going over to Hui, but rather to Wolf as he gets down Hui. But man, you can't even describe what just happened there. They turned on the gas, they never let up, and Enemy Esports was left in the dust.
Yeah, that was just, we talked about it, Enemy Esports, they're not as rough of a team around the edges as we just saw right there. Fusion just made them look silly at some points in that game. You really got to hand it to them for being able to push so hard at all points in the game. So much map pressure in that early game and mid-game, just so much good decision-making. And Macnoon was the catalyst in their victories, really just disrupting those team fights up so much, able to get 2v1 with 2 kills later in the game in that second game. And just Fusion probably should be one of the teams to watch going forward into that Final Four.
Absolutely, and it's very rare that a team is able to live up to that much hype, but the individual performance, the team-level effort was incredible. Nintendo, excellent kill participation. Yeah. He followed up. He started every single one of those big fights. They found him in the jungle. They found him in the lanes. They found him wherever they wanted. Hui, massive performances, both Zed and Fizz. And Wolf is not at all a terrible player. He's definitely a solid laner.
Yeah.
But to take him down and make him look really not that great, it was an incredible effort individually. And again, Macnoon just running wild all over this team. And you know, big ups to everybody on the Fusion side. They managed to really just make it look not just easy, but beautiful.
Yeah, and so Enemy Esports run ends there, but Fusion is going to move on. So with that, we can actually go ahead and take a look at the final brackets for this online portion.
Yep, of course, over in Group A, we saw yesterday Final 5 took a 2-0 victory over Complexity Black, knocking that team out, and they will be moving on to the Final 4.
And in Group B, Complexity's chances of making a team into the LCS were shattered when Curse Academy took a decisive 2-0 victory against Complexity White.
Over in Group C, our full bracket there, you saw Team Coast taking a decisive 2-0 lead over Lowpro earlier in the day, and they will be moving on to represent that group in the Final 4.
And of course, Group D, the exciting match that we just watched, Team Fusion takes down Enemy Esports 2-0 in a very explosive matchup.
Now looking forward to the brackets, this is going to be the double elimination, best of 5. It's going to be a LAN event. It's an offline format. It's going to take place a month from now, but it's going to be a lot of exciting matches. You see Final 5 going to take on Fusion there. The winner of that game will take on Curse Academy and Coast Gaming's winner, but of course the losers drop down to another bracket where they can also compete for an LCS spot.
Yeah, so at the end of that bracket, we will have the 2 teams making into the spring split of the 2015 LCS. The winner of the winner's bracket and the winner of the loser's bracket. And at this point, after seeing some of these teams play, I think you can go to any of these 2 teams, and it should be really exciting to watch that expansion live tournament.
Absolutely. It's going to be a pretty awesome time. We'll also have a live studio audience as well. Indeed, it's going to be a pretty cool event. Of course, that's going to take place December 12th through the 14th, and if you'd like to be a part of that audience, you can go over and head to esl.gg/LCSNA expansion to pick up your tickets.
Yeah, and the studios are pretty awesome here. You might even get a chance to meet some of those players, meet some of the casters as well, so definitely check out that event. If you liked what you saw this weekend and the past weekend, there should be only better action to come.
Absolutely. So with all of that wrapped up and done, we're going to be signing off here. So thank you guys for watching. GG and good night.